students for their PhD. For PhD, also for MPhil, also he is also editor of 2 research journals. Has successfully organized more than 5 conferences. He have published 5 books. So indeed, it is really a pleasure and honor for all of us to have him here as a resource person. So again, I welcome our respected resource person, uh, uh, Professor Principal Paithankar sir. He will deliver a talk on Indian knowledge system. So now I would hand over the session over to him. Over to you, sir.
Thank you for nice words, Rafe sir. Good afternoon to one and all. Hope I am audible to all of you.
Yes, sir. Audible.
You want this lecture to be in English, altogether in English, or bilingual, or Marathi?
Bilingual, Hindi, English, sir. Being a pan-India course, no, very few participants from Maharashtra.
Okay.
Maximum are from out of Maharashtra.
Okay.
So I will take your leave, sir. When you conclude, just let me know, sir. I will take a leave. I have some work.
Okay. Thank you, Rafi. Friends, Indian knowledge system is a new concept that we all are confronting in our colleges, our universities, and our institutes of higher learning throughout India. It came into prominence when national education policy gave weightage to this Indian knowledge system content. In this lecture, I will try to explain what is Indian knowledge system. In this, I will try to define what is Indian, what is knowledge, what is system. I will even deal with the significance, the framework of Indian knowledge system, the sources of Indian knowledge system. I will try to cover very briefly. But before starting my deliberation on Indian knowledge system, we should know what is our existing knowledge system and how it is organized and how it is classified. A proper understanding of classification and organization of knowledge that we are used to do it under faculties and under various disciplines is very important. Basically, the subjects that we study, the disciplines that we have, are classified into 3 major faculties: science, social sciences, and arts. Somewhere it is also called as humanities. But broadly, this is the general classification that we make. This classification is based on the nature of subject that this faculty deals with. Now, the subjects that are included, we will start with social sciences. The subjects that are included in social sciences essentially possess a nature which is common to all the social sciences. Same is with science and same is with art. The branch of knowledge which deals with specific area and known as a discipline naturally also possess this nature of faculty. The subjects which are anthropocentric, which are human-centric, which are created because of human beings, which are for the human beings, created by the human beings, are categorized into social sciences. And They have three important characteristics which forms the very nature of social sciences faculty. All these disciplines are subjective in nature. Excuse me. So they are subjective. Secondly, all these subjects are value laden. And thirdly, they cannot be universally applied. They are not applicable universally. When it comes to science, it is opposite of this. All sciences are objective in nature, quantifiable, measurable. They are value neutral. They don't possess any value. And they are universal in nature. So value neutrality, universality, and objectivity are the essential features of all the disciplines that are categorized under sciences. And subjectivity, value ladenness, are the features of social sciences. Now, we will see when it comes to science, we call it objectivity. Objectivity means the subjects which are quantifiable, measurable, which could be objectively presented when the resultant is 100%, cent percent. It is objective. Value neutrality means they doesn't possess any values. There is nothing good or bad. There is nothing right and wrong involved in it. For example, a person who don't know the electricity and touches a live cable will get a shock, and a person who is fully aware of electricity also gets the same shock. So the principles and theories that are included in these sciences, their effect is common to all. They don't have value. They don't discriminate. They don't distinguish. So all such subjects are included in sciences. Same is with universal application. Any principle of science, you take any theory of science, it is universally applicable. For example, Archimedes' principle, when a body is immersed in liquid, wholly or partly loses its weight. We all know. And the weight of law is equal to the weight displaced by the immersed part of the body. Same is with Newton's laws. They are commonly acceptable everywhere, in all the time. The principles of science even is not known. Still, it is very much there. Before we came to know about the gravity, gravity was very much there. Apples used to fall down. They never floated because gravity is yet to be discovered. Someone will come and will tell us and explain what is gravity. No. So universal application, value neutrality, and objectivity are the three yardsticks for classifying the branch of knowledges as sciences. If we think of social sciences, you take any social science. Political science came into being, sociology came into being, economics came into being because of the human beings. We cannot pursue study of sociology or study of economics or study of political science without human beings. They are created by human beings for scientifically explaining the human transactions in that particular area. It may be society, it may be economy, it may be a polity. A branch of knowledge is created to explain social behavior, social processes, social institutions in sociology. Same applies to economy and polity and all other social sciences. But these social sciences are not value neutral. They are full of values. They can distinguish. They have right and wrong, the concept of right and wrong, good and bad. What is politically correct in one country cannot be correct in another country. The models, the theories, the principles differ country to country. Geographically, there is a difference. In time scale, also, there is a difference. In application, there is also a difference. Context also plays a big impact on their implementation, their results. So, subjectivity, value ladenness is very much there. And a particular theory of social science which is applicable, which holds good today, we cannot say conclusively that will be equally relevant a century after. So, this is because of the very nature of this subject, which is dynamic, which is ever changing. The disciplines also change with the changes that occur in the contemporary surroundings. That's why we call all these subjects anthropocentric subjects. So, broadly, we distinguish social sciences and sciences in this manner. We can go into detail of it, but I think for creating a context before starting Indian knowledge system, this is sufficient. As far as the arts are concerned, the subjects which provide a platform, which provide a medium, which provide a forum where the latent, potent, creative talent of individuals can be effectively manifested are arts. It may take various forms, in the form of music, in the form of sculpture, in the form of literature, in the form of story writing and all. So this the subjects that make use of a particular form to manifest creativity are arts. That's how we presently divide the whole knowledge, or that's how the organization of knowledge in our times is done. In this context, we have to understand what Indian knowledge system is. As you all know, most of you are doing research, some of you may be teaching somewhere. You all know, many of you have, I can see that you possess doctoral degrees. You all know that research is the tool for knowledge creation. And this knowledge that is created through research undergoes a process. And this process is very systematic. It is organization of knowledge. It is step-by-step organization of knowledge. Research methodology is applied. Data collection, tabulation, analysis, presentation, so on. Various tools, various types of research, quantitative, qualitative, all types within it, within this fold is used. But broadly, we must accept that whatever branch of knowledge is there, it is created by going through a systematic scientific process. And then the knowledge is organized into discipline. Whatever disciplines, whatever branch of knowledge that we study, whatever theories, must possess three more things. It may be testable. There should be an element of testability in it. The second more important thing is validity. So testability should be there, validity should be there, and third, predictability. So knowledge should go through these three steps before becoming a formal organized branch of study. Testability, predictability, and validity. These are the three essential things. And based on this, we have created faculties and various subjects which we call disciplines, that is branch of study. This forms the context of my lecture. Means if we want to start a subject, if we want to create a branch of study, a branch of knowledge, it must pass through a rigorous process which is systematic, which is organized, which must be rational. Then that subject will be categorized in these three forms based upon its very nature. Now, coming to Indian knowledge system. Indian knowledge system is an area which is introduced under national education policy in almost all the universities in India. AICTE has taken major role in leading, promoting, evolving, developing the Indian knowledge system to be taught in various institutes of higher learning throughout India. Now, what is this Indian knowledge system? Broadly, we all know, particularly in our university, we have introduced 2 credits of Indian knowledge system at first year level for UG, and 2 more credits for third year. We are looking forward to gradually start that component. The Indian knowledge system, which is introduced at the very beginning of UG studies, comprises of the basic premise of Indian knowledge system. And the third year will deal with the subject specific, subject centric components of Indian knowledge system. Now, what is this Indian knowledge system that we will have to see? Indian knowledge system covers everything about India. Everything is to be covered about India in this Indian knowledge system. Hence, it becomes very difficult to define what is Indian knowledge. Because to define, we have to include in our scope 5,000 years of the very existence of India. For better understanding of this Indian knowledge system, we should try to see what constitutes Indian knowledge system. Look, since Indian knowledge system involves three words: Indian, knowledge, and system. We will try to define what is Indian, what is knowledge, and what is system, so that we could infer what this concept involves. First is Indian, IKS. I is for India, a country which is having a long history. Like India, it is very difficult to explain what India should involve. As far as knowledge is concerned, till 16th century, there was a continuous free flow of this in India. Though India as a nation came into being in 1947, but India as a geographic entity was very much there. And there was a free flow of knowledge, free flow of economy, free flow of relation. That's why we find that a person who gets education in Takshashila goes to Patliputra and create an empire. I am talking about Kautilya, was educated in the western part of India, Takshashila, and goes to the eastern end, Patliputra. Same is with Panini, who hails from Gandhara, the northwestern area. But Panini's grammar was during his time also very relevant till the last end of this peninsula, that is Kerala. So, everything that was involved in this Indian knowledge system is hello, am I audible? Hello. Okay, thank you. So there was a free flow. There was no geographical limitation. So everything, every knowledge that was created in whatever part of this peninsula had mobility. Knowledge synthesis, codification, and availability of knowledge was very common till 16th century in India. Even export of knowledge, particularly the principles of mathematics, which from India went to Arab, that entered into Europe, is known to all of us. So, this knowledge synthesis, codification of knowledge, availability of knowledge, and export of knowledge was very much common all these years till 16th century. The more important aspect of India that we should know that India should not be defined in this Indian knowledge system politically. So Indian knowledge system does not take India or does not define India politically. Indian knowledge system defines India, which is involved in Indian knowledge system, as geographical and cultural. So, in Indian knowledge system, the India of Indian knowledge system is essentially geographical and cultural. Hence, it may go outside the political boundaries of India. That is also to be included in Indian knowledge system that we should understand. Now, the second aspect of this Indian knowledge system, or before coming to the second aspect of it, I will revise that till 16th century, we all know there was a free flow of knowledge, unhindered. The examples I have given to you of Takshashila, Patliputra, Gandhara, free flow of Panini, of Kautilya. There was export of knowledge. And the concept Indian should be defined geographically and culturally and not politically is required in this IKS. Second is knowledge. The knowledge that we have is also very interesting. Our knowledge is in literary format, and also we have oral traditions. So knowledge that is passed on to us through literary formats comes in the scope of this knowledge under IKS, and the knowledge which is passed to us through oral traditions also comes under this knowledge of IKS. And it is to be dealt with under IKS. But all these literary traditions, all these oral traditions must pass through certain steps. This knowledge is created based on the experiences, the wisdom over the years. And this experiences and wisdom is a product of observations over the years, over the generations. This knowledge also has an element of experimentation, analysis involved in it. And after validating, after undergoing the validation process, whatever we have inherited as in the form of literature or literary format or oral tradition will become knowledge. So, to accept it as it is not required under IKS, but whatever literary format and oral traditions are passed to us based on experiences, observations, experimentations, analysis, validation, should only be included in this knowledge part of IKS. Now, the third important part is system of IKS. So, first two things are I means everything that is Indian, particularly India is not defined in political sense, but in cultural and geographical sense that we should understand. And whatever the literary formats and oral traditions are passed on to us is not taken as it is, but only those which has undergone the processes of knowledge creation based on experiences, observations, experimentation, analysis, and validation that is important in IKS. And the third is system. It is nothing but a structured methodology we need to evolve, need to develop. It must be a classification scheme to access available corpus of knowledge that we can call Indian, as per we have defined it. So, Indian knowledge system will be a structured methodology and a classification scheme to access the available corpus that has been passed to us this is not only to access the available corpus of knowledge, but a system needs to establish a logical relationship between what is passed to us and what we are presenting under IKS. Then only Indian knowledge system will become a systematic branch of knowledge to study Indian traditions, Indian knowledge in various disciplines. This, I can say, is Indian knowledge system. So, Indian knowledge system is not only translating and giving or teaching the literary format and oral tradition as it is we have received. It is not only to just start teaching, get the scripture and start teaching. No. The literary format and oral tradition must undergo certain process. through a system which involves a methodology, which involves a scheme of classification to access, to organize the corpus of knowledge that is essentially Indian. This is Indian knowledge system. Now, why we need Indian knowledge system? Why now? Why it is required now? Why not all these years? There are various reasons why we need to have Indian knowledge system. First, and known to all of us, is to create awareness about the culture and the legacy that we are having, which will make us proud. Second, is to promote research in various fields of Indian knowledge traditions. This is very important. Third, to convert or translate the Bharatiya or Bharatiyata into applied scientific paradigm, theory building. Will it be possible? If not, we can discard, can take another area of Indian knowledge system. So, to make it scientific, the contemporary events also compel us to start Indian knowledge system, particularly the patenting regime that we are having. You all know the classical cases of turmeric, of neem, and so on. Mango, varieties of mango, rice. So this patenting regime is essential for a knowledge society. And this patenting regime is not only about knowledge society, but it is more about the economic power. So patenting is not only knowledge, but translating knowledge into monetary benefits or monetizing the knowledge is the essential part of this process. And this study, this data, its codification will help us in bringing patents, in getting patents in GI and all these things, which will help us in this knowledge society to derive economic advantages in the competitive world. That's why also Indian knowledge system is very important. This will not only protect the wisdom which is passed on to us, but will help us in economic security and will boost national pride. These are the very rationale of Indian knowledge system. That's why Indian knowledge system is required and is required to be included in the syllabus, in the curriculums. Indian knowledge system is important for four important things. Indian knowledge is basic premise of the very identity of all of us. Indian knowledge is an essential component of our culture. Indian knowledge is a repository of received wisdom from our forefathers, which is passed on to generation to generation. And Indian knowledge system also possess economic value. That's why Indian knowledge system is significant. So I have tried to cover so far the meaning of Indian knowledge system, what is Indian knowledge system, why it is required, and the importance of Indian knowledge system. Now we will try to see what is the framework of Indian knowledge system. The structure, what is the framework, what is to be included broadly in Indian knowledge system. Indian knowledge systems framework involve two things, or it is available in two types. One is literary and other is non-literary. When I say literary, all the literary formats that we have received over the years are included in it. And when I say non-literary, it contains the oral tradition that we received, that we have as Indian knowledge. In literary Indian knowledge system, we have again four branches. One is related with Sanatan Dharma, other is related with Buddhism, third is with Jainism, and all other which are not included in these three areas, Indian knowledge, but they are very much there. Maybe regional. They are included in this Indian knowledge system framework. In this Sanatan literature, Sanatan format, Sanatan literary format, we have four Vedas: Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samveda, Ayurveda. Six Vedangas that we have: Shiksha, Vyakaran, Nirukta, Chanda, Jyotish, Kalp, Puran, Dharma Shastras. P.V. Kane, you might be knowing him. Just after independence, he codified the history of Dharma Shastras. And because of his contribution for writing the history of Dharma Shastra, the then government of India bestowed upon him Bharat Ratna. Such is a huge contribution, because Dharma Shastras also forms the very basis of jurisprudence, Indian judicial system. So, four Vedas, six Vedangas, Dharma Shastras, Darshanas. We have Shadarshan, Nyay, Vaishikya, Yoga, Sankhya, Purva Mimamsa, Uttar Mimamsa. Then we have huge repository of works of various rishis, leaders, scholars, philosophers, which by and large deal with the classical principles of Sanatan Dharma, whose work essentially draws from the cardinal principles of Sanatan Dharma. All such works, all such literary formats, excuse me, are included in this IKS framework. Then, after this Sanatan literary formats, we have Buddhist literary formats. Works of Nagarjuna, Rasaratnakar, Agam, earliest Buddhist text, Prajnaparamit Sutra, Mahayana Sutra, Abhidharma, Jataka, Yogakara, Avatamsaka Sutra. These all Buddhist literary texts also constitutes Indian knowledge system. They equally important components of IKS framework. After this Sanatan and Buddhist literary formats, we have Jain literary formats. Which are Vyavhar Sutra, Surya Pragyapati, Mahaviracharya, Gandit Sar Samagra, a seminal work on mathematics, Anuyogadvara Sutra. These all Jain literary text, which deals with astronomy, which deals with astrophysics, which deals with philosophy. All these literary formats are included in IKS framework. Regional Indian knowledge system. The fourth component of literary format is regional. And a great contribution from Tamil land, from Tamil Nadu, Sangam literature, Agathiyam, Thirukural. These literary formats also are important components of IKS framework. All other formats, all other literary formats that were produced over the years in this huge peninsula, a vast area, essentially reflect the cardinal principles involved in either Sanatan Dharma, Buddhist literature, Jain, and Sangam age and regional things. So, all other works by various rishis, by various scholars, philosophers, acharyas, we had a tradition of writing critique over the basic text. So, it is also a part of Indian knowledge system. Writing commentary on Bhagavad Gita, you will find number of commentaries, number of tikas. So all this literature, which to its core essentially premised on the basic principles of Sanatan, Buddhist, Jain, and regional, is included in Indian knowledge system framework. So this is this framework deals with the literary structure that we are having, the literary formats that we are having. But we have a huge repository of non-literary oral formats of Indian knowledge, which is Bharatiya wisdom, based on experiences, observations, passed to us in the form of folklore, various kalas, skilled jobs that we can say in today's vocabulary, food and life practices, health practices. There are diverse practices which are in oral form. The home remedies over the years, the use of spices, the use of various leaves, various plants, herbal things. So, all this wisdom, which is passed on to us orally, also an area that comes under the scope of Indian knowledge system framework. These are non-literary areas of Indian knowledge system. Friends, Indian knowledge systems is such a huge chapter. I am trying to give a brief introduction and just covering the basic things under the scope and the significance of Indian knowledge system. After this format of Indian knowledge system, this is the format. This will be a broader format of IKS. And based on this resources, we all need to evolve, develop Indian knowledge system branch of studies. Now, what are the sources of Indian knowledge system? As I have told you at the beginning of my lecture, that we have a continuous tradition of date back to 3000 BC, and which continued till 16th century unhindered all these years. But before 3000 BC also, we have repository of sources of Indian knowledge system, particularly Vedas, Puranas, Mahabharata, Ramayana. The subject area included in this is Dharma or code of living. They also deal in economy, in statecraft, in psychology, in the study of human behavior. So these are the sources: Vedas, Puranas, Mahabharatas, and Ramayana. There are various sources which I will try to explain based on their subject area of Indian knowledge system. Then, for a brief 10 minutes, we will have a discussion if you have any questions. Vedant Jyotish is an area. Particularly, I am explaining to you, I am telling to you, I'm just all the sources that dates back to 5000 BC to 500 CE. Various areas. Vedant Jyotish covers astronomy. Sulabha Sutra, which covers mathematics. Sushruta Sanhita, health and wellness. Ashtadhyayi Nirukta, linguistic grammar. Natya Shastra, art forms, dance, theatre. Buddhist text covers philosophy, Nyaya and Vaishika Sutra, logic, epistemology. Many Jain works cover mathematics. Arthashastra is all about statecraft. Chanda Shastra, it is about metrical pattern, binary mathematics. Very interesting ideas. Yoga Sutras, mind and philosophy. Kama Sutra, art form. Mahabharat, Sanskrit, grammar. Rasaratnakar, alchemy. Charak Samhita, health. Sankhya Darshan, philosophy, psychology. Amar Kosh is all about linguistics and lexicography. Surya Siddhant, Brihat Siddhant, astronomy, mathematics. Astronomy, we have number of works on astronomy like Aryabhatiya, Panka Siddhant, Maya Muni, Maya Mata, which is about architecture, drawings, designs, structures. Brahmasput Siddhant, astronomy again. Aryabhatiya Bhashya is also on astronomy. Narada's Shilpa Shastra is about architecture, iconography. Ganit Sar Sangra, mathematics. We have Yukti Kalpatru. This Yukti Kalpatru deals with shipbuilding. We have Kashyap Shilpa Shastra, which is about temple architecture. We have Kerala School of Mathematics dealing with various principles of mathematics. These are certain important sources that we have on Indian knowledge system. There are certain interesting facts that we should know. Earth is spherical. Indians were aware of it. Before Christ, it was 8th to 9th century. Yajnavalakya explained that Earth is spherical before Aristotle. We all know Kung Fu, Shaolin. We have watched many films, 36 Chamber and Shaolin Temple and all these things. We all are aware of it. We have seen it in various movies. But this Kung Fu and Shaolin was founded by Indian Bodhidharma Pallava dynasty. He was from Kanchipuram. He founded this Kung Fu and Shaolin. Flush toilets, rulers, scales, buttons, weaved cotton dresses, weighing scales. These all were known to us almost 4,500 years before, 4,500 years ago. We all know zero is by Aryabhatta, symbol for zero is by Brahmagupta, and Bhaskaracharya was the first to use this zero in algebra. So, all the threes regarding zeros are Indian. Zero Aryabhatta, zero, the way we write zero is by Brahmagupta, who first wrote it, and Bhaskaracharya was the first to use it in algebra. Acharya Kanad, atomic theory. Sushrut, plastic surgery, cataract surgery. Chera dynasty of Tamil Nadu is credited for inventing credited for inventing steel. And this steel was by heating black magnet ore with carbon. And the very Damascus steel that we know, Damascus swords, Damascus knives, which are very popular these days, is nothing but Wood's steel of India. It is known to us. printing plates. The earliest printing plates known to us it dates back to 2600 BC. So these are certain interesting things which we should bring it up. We should bring it. We should work on it. We should use this repository of huge, vast Indian knowledge in literary form, in oral form, as the basic sources to be worked on in a systematic manner and passing through a acceptable, rational, systematic process. We must develop certain curriculums which essentially must be premised on this Indian knowledge repository. Indian knowledge system is not about teaching Shastras and Puranas as it is. It is not teaching Ramayana and Mahabharata in classes. It is working on Ramayana, Mahabharata, and trying to evolve, develop a branch of study, a branch of knowledge, particular about particular area, based on the principles enumerated in these classics. Shukraniti can be a classical work on governance. When it comes from Europe or United Nations developmental goals, governance goals, good governance, we readily accept, but reluctant to study, to analyze Ram Rajya concept. Ram Rajya concept is nothing but related with the good governance. So Indian knowledge system is making use of this repository, of this wisdom, of this knowledge, and studying it, analyzing it, and developing it into curriculum based on a structured scientific method, and then rolling it out in the curriculum that we teach, that we will be offering. That is all about Indian knowledge system. I tried to cover a basic premise, a basic introduction about Indian knowledge system very briefly. If you have any questions, you may raise the questions in chat. There is no question. Two possibilities: either you have understood what I have spoken, or you stayed dormant. Whatever it be, it was pleasure speaking to all of you. Thank you all. Thank you for patient hearing.
So thank you so much, sir. So second session will start will be 4 o'clock. So participants, uh, 10 minutes break in tea breaks. Second session 4 o'clock will be start.
So, friends, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you all. Friends, today we are going to discuss a very important topic. And before I begin, a humble request to all of you is feel free to ask questions, feel free to raise hands, feel free to share your experiences. Don't treat it as one-way process. This is not that I am going to speak and you are listening all the time. We will discuss, and we will discuss a very important and significant topic that often comes in National Education Policy 2020. So let's discuss this topic and feel free to ask questions, feel free to raise hands. The only protocol that we are going to follow is when we are not speaking, we have to mute ourselves. So give me a minute to share my presentation first, and then we will discuss. So, friends, today we are going to discuss multidisciplinary higher education. Multidisciplinary higher education, this is a term coming in both sections of National Education Policy 2020. Whether it is school education or higher education, there is a discussion on multidisciplinary education. So today we are going to discuss what do you mean by multidisciplinary education, how we can practice multidisciplinary education in our institutions, in our classroom. And what do you mean by multidisciplinary approach of education? All these questions, all these issues we are going to discuss. बातचीत करेंगे, समझने की कोशिश करेंगे, and at the end we will realize, okay, look, in this way I am going to use this in my classroom. So we will start with a very simple question. And the question is, we belong to different disciplines. So the question is, what do you mean by a discipline? हम सब कहते हैं, I belong to social sciences, I belong to engineering and technology, I belong to management, I belong to education. So different disciplines we say कि मैं इस discipline से हूँ, आप दूसरे discipline से हो. But what do you mean by discipline? How to define a discipline? How you can say that, look, this is my discipline, this is your discipline. So the term is how you are going to define discipline. So my request to you is, please share your perspective, how you see discipline. आप कैसे देखते हैं discipline को? So आप में से जो भी कोई बोलना चाहता है, please unmute yourself and speak. आप unmute कर सकते हैं अपने को? Is this facility available in this program? आपके पास ये है, you can unmute yourself and you can speak.
Yes, we can, sir.
Yeah, okay. So that is fine. So what do you mean by discipline? आप कैसे, suppose what is your definition of discipline? Like you say, I belong to social sciences discipline. So what is the definition of discipline according to you? क्योंकि मल्टी डिसिप्लिन को समझने के लिए पहले डिसिप्लिन को समझना पड़ेगा. Anyone?
Good evening,
Anyone
sir.
Yeah, please.
This is Chitra. According to me, a discipline is where you fall within a set of framework or a rules and regulations or a methodology.
A set of framework and methodology. Fine, wonderful. Anyone else? Anyone else? One colleague answered. It's a good answer. Anyone else interested to add in? Yes, please.
Sir, branch of knowledge that I expertise in.
Ma'am, can you repeat again?
Branch of knowledge that I am expert in.
Branch of knowledge that you are expert in. Okay.
Yes.
This can be. Anyone else? Anyone else? Because we belong to different disciplines.
It can be a specific area.
A specific area, okay. Santosh is saying any specific area, that's fine.
Sir, we
Anyone
can take
else?
it. We can take it in such a way that for bringing up the life of a person, life of a human being, in a holistic manner, we have different resources and resources connected, or you can say, we can say different ways of improving the life of a person. So people are expert in different areas which are connected to this. So that is discipline.
Okay. So, friends, there are different perspective of, and we belong to different discipline, and that's why this is obvious that we have to discuss discipline first. Sometimes we are part of different disciplines, but we don't think, okay, what is discipline? So a very simple definition of discipline is, very simple definition is, very popular also, a concentrated and bounded academic field of study. Concentrated means focusing on a particular thing, and bounded, there are boundaries around it. So a concentrated and bounded academic field of study, usually we call it a discipline. So this is a very simple definition. It's a very generic type of definition. I'm not saying this is the perfect definition, but more or less, this is the beginner's definition. A concentrated and bounded academic field of study. The second is, let's add something more into it, a specific body of teachable knowledge. So this is, of course, a specific branch, a specific content, a specific body of teachable knowledge. And what are the characteristics? With its own background of education, means how to carry it out, its training procedures, methods, and content areas. So in every discipline, there is a way of education. There is a way how you are going to train people. There are procedures involved. There are methods and content areas. So this is one perspective of, another perspective of defining discipline. And then there is a test of discipline. How, suppose someone is challenging that, look, you are saying that you belong to a particular discipline, but your discipline is not a discipline. Then how you are going to defend your discipline? So in every discipline, there are disciplines possess different characteristics. And what are these defining characteristics of disciplines? So let's discuss them these characteristics one by one. The first characteristic is, they claim a body of knowledge about certain subjects or objects. In every discipline, there is a specific set of knowledge, a body of knowledge about certain subjects or objects. So they belong to different subjects, and they say that in this discipline, we have knowledge about these many subjects or objects. So this is characteristics number one. The second is, they have methods of acquiring knowledge and theories to order that knowledge. Every discipline focuses on acquiring knowledge, generating new knowledge. So they have methods of acquiring knowledge. So every discipline, there are methods that how in this discipline we are going to acquire new knowledge. Methods of acquiring knowledge, and every discipline, there is a theories to order that knowledge. So we are coming with different knowledge, and we are putting this knowledge in a specific order. So in every discipline, there is always a provision for acquiring knowledge and ordering that knowledge. Third characteristic is, they seek to produce new knowledge. Every discipline, there is always a quest to produce new knowledge. हर discipline में नए knowledge की तरफ हम जाते हैं. Concept and theories within are related to their domains. They seek to produce new knowledge, concept and theories within, either these are within the domain or related to their domain. But they are always nearer to the domain. They are not moving far away from the domain. So this is characteristics number 3. Then the fourth characteristic is, they possess a recognized core of courses. In every discipline, there are certain number of courses, and these courses means when we go through these courses, we get a fair indication that these courses belong to a particular discipline. So they possess a recognized core of courses, and they have a community of experts. So suppose you belong to one discipline. So in one discipline, there is a community of experts. Another discipline, there is a community of experts. The third discipline, there is a community of experts. So in every discipline, there is a community of experts, and they are self-contained, very, very important. And when you realize, when you visualize that why NEP is focusing so much on multidisciplinary education, answer is here, they are self-contained. Means disciplines, so there are disciplinary boundaries, and usually we move around these boundaries and seek to control their respective domains as they relate to it. So they are self-contained and seek to control their respective domains. So if I belong to a particular discipline, I am always nearer to my discipline. I'm always defending my discipline. And the last is they train future expert in their disciplines, a specific master's and doctoral program. So in every discipline, there is an scope for training coming with future experts. And how they do it? They do it by offering master's and doctoral program. So friend, these are a few characteristics that are sufficient to, that are quite helpful to define a discipline or judging whether one discipline is really a discipline. So I am simply saying that today, just after completion of this lecture, sit back and think, okay, I belong to this discipline. What about characteristic number 1? What about characteristic number 2? And then you can think and you can realize. So the reality is that we are in higher education sector. We are faculty members in higher education, and we faculty members belong to one discipline or another, and we have close affinity with our disciplines. We work in our disciplines, and we also protect our disciplines, and we usually don't move away from our disciplines. So we are very much glued with our disciplines. In a way, we represent our discipline. So this is about discipline. We will move forward and we will come up with a term that is originated from discipline. The term is disciplinarity. What do you mean by disciplinarity? When we are practicing discipline in real teaching learning situation, this is disciplinarity. So disciplinarity is what results from discipline oriented activities and structure. So when I am teaching my discipline, when I am doing any activity related to my discipline, when we are coming with a structure related to our disciplines, so this is disciplinarity, what results from discipline oriented activities and structures. So another perspective is, so discipline is, I can say, theoretical concept, and disciplinarity is practical aspect of it. So when I practice my discipline, this is basically disciplinarity. Refers to expertise in a discipline, which is a specific area of knowledge. Again, a very simple definition of discipline is coming. Discipline, which is a specific area of knowledge. So any specific area of knowledge, you can call it a discipline. It includes the, what do you mean by what this specific area of knowledge contains? It includes the understanding of the methodology and the capacity. So one thing in every discipline, as someone as a colleague was saying, framework. In every discipline, there is always a framework and there is always a methodology. So if you have to understand that discipline, you have to understand the methodology of that discipline and the capacity to obtain, together, analyze and employ specialized knowledge for various applications. So you are using specialized knowledge from your discipline for various applications or purposes. So usually we teachers, what we do, we have our specific area of knowledge. We belong to one discipline and another. We have a specific area of knowledge, and we use that knowledge for different purposes. And we also have a methodology to acquire new knowledge, and we also keep working on obtaining, analyzing, and employing knowledge. So this all we do, and when we do all these things, we say, look, I am practicing what I learned in my discipline. means I am practicing. What I am practicing is basically disciplinarity. So friends, two terms came into. The one is discipline, and the practical aspect is, the practical component is disciplinarity. So I can say we all belong to different discipline, and we all practice disciplinarity in our classrooms, in our working spaces, in our institution. But the issue is that now three other terms are going around. The three other terms are: one, disciplinarity; the second is multidisciplinarity; the third is interdisciplinarity; and the fourth is transdisciplinarity. So there are four different terminologies. The one is disciplinarity, the second multi, the third inter, and fourth transdisciplinarity. So these are four terms, and sometimes we get confused. What do you mean by multidisciplinarity? What do you mean by interdisciplinarity? What do you mean by transdisciplinarity? Because you know disciplinarity. Disciplinarity is very simple, easy to understand. When we are involved in discipline specific activities, then we can proudly say, or we can say with confidence, that we are practicing disciplinarity. But what do you mean by multi, inter, and transdisciplinarity? Before answering this question, I request you to share your perspective. Then I will add on. ये चार शब्द हैं, एक शब्द को मैंने डिस्कस कर दिया, तीन और शब्द हमको डिस्कस करने हैं: मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरिटी, इंटरडिसिप्लिनरिटी एंड transdisciplinarity. चार शब्द है, because all these terms are important for us teachers, and there is a mention of these terms in NEP also, in other policy document. तो एक बार हम इनको समझ लेंगे, then this will be very easy for us to practice them in real situation. तो आपको क्या लगता है? What do you mean by multidisciplinarity, interdisciplinarity, and transdisciplinarity? Anyone can speak. I request you to speak. आपको क्या लगता है? What is the difference? How you are going to define this? कोई भी, anyone. Anyone can take a lead. Anyone can share.
Sir, we can say the number of more disciplines where those come in picture, that is multidisciplinary. In interdisciplinary, like the two different areas, when those are becoming resource, either for dissemination of knowledge or those are being used. So that is interdisciplinary that can be taken. And disciplinary, it is like the, I would say, transitional phase of one academic area of expertise. Transitional, that means it may not be fully applied one area, but part of 2-3 areas that will be taken as like adding knowledge in that process. I have tried to put it in this way.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Nitinji, thank you so much. You tried. There's no. It's good to try. At least to try. And because the things you said, some things are right. Some I will add. But thank you so much for trying. Yes. Anyone else?
So multidisciplinary is where I involve 2 or 3 disciplines together, like sociology, economics, and science, combining together and making a course or something. Interdisciplinary is within economics, like a macro study or a fiscal public finance. Within the economics branches, a study is being created. I think transdisciplinary, I'm not too sure about it. Maybe a combination of science and arts together, a fusion, a pattern of study, or a commerce and economics related studies coming together.
Okay. Thank you, Chuktaji. I will add in, but thank you so much for sharing your perspective. Anyone else? Friends, 2 colleagues share their viewpoints. This is very important to understand these terms, because when you are you are clear about these terms, then it is quite easy to practice it. But when you are not clear, then it is very difficult to practice. So let's see. What do you mean by multidisciplinarity, interdisciplinarity, and transdisciplinarity? So the first is multidisciplinarity. Let's understand it. Applies to studying a subject from multiple different disciplines at the same time. I will repeat. Applies to studying a subject. So suppose I am a student of economics. I am studying economics, but I am also studying economics from sociological perspective. I am also studying economics from engineering perspective. I am also studying economics from a philosophical perspective. So a subject from multiple different disciplines at the same time. So my subject is here, but for studying my subject, I am taking help from other subjects also. So perspective from the different disciplines. Look, here is the significance of multidisciplinarity. Perspective from the different disciplines create a broader understanding of a subject. The argument is when I study my subject only from the perspective of my discipline, my viewpoint is narrow. But when I am studying any subject from the perspective of different discipline, my vision is broad, a broader understanding of a subject. Very, very important. Next line is very important. I will explain. You cross the boundaries of the discipline, but the discipline keep their own voice. So I belong to discipline A. There is a discipline B, and there is also a discipline C. So my discipline will remain here, but I as a learner will move to discipline B and also move to discipline C, and then I will come back to my discipline A. So my discipline is not moving. Learner is moving, and learner is gathering information from different disciplines and coming back. So I can give you an example. Is an example of honeybee. Honeybee roams around, go to different flowers, pick, and then come back. So they are always coming back to one place, but they are always going to different flowers, picking, and then coming back. So this is an example of multidisciplinarity. Sometimes I also give a very simple example from our day-to-day life. The day-to-day life is when we were young, we were usually carrying tiffin boxes. So we were eating together. So suppose I am eating my tiffin, but in addition to eating from my tiffin, I am also eating something from others' tiffin. And then, so I am eating my tiffin, but I am also taking something from tiffin of my friend, other friends. So this is a multidisciplinary approach where I am not leaving my tiffin. I am with my tiffin, but I am also taking something from. So I can say my lunch is more full, more tasty. So multidisciplinarity is that you are sticking to your discipline, but you are also learning from different discipline, and this learning is helping you to understand your discipline better. This is one perspective, that is multidisciplinarity. Then move to interdisciplinarity. What do you mean by interdisciplinarity? Incorporates several fields of study to allow collaboration among diverse disciplines. Here there is a difference, a minute difference, but this is a big difference. The difference is incorporates several fields of study to allow collaboration among diverse disciplines, to either specify or broaden students' education to gain understanding and or to problem solve. So I request you to please mute your mic. Please mute your mic. If you are asking a question, you are most welcome. Otherwise, my humble request is please mute yourself. So the difference in between multidisciplinarity and interdisciplinarity is, in multidisciplinarity, disciplines are not moving, The person is moving, the learner is moving, but in interdisciplinary, 2 disciplines, 3 disciplines are coming together and they are coming something new. So here disciplines are moving. Suppose discipline A, discipline B, discipline C, all these disciplines are coming together and forming something new. Interdisciplinarity, where disciplines are merging. Suppose I say biophysics, an example of interdisciplinarity, the biology is merging with physics. So if I have to continue with the example of tiffin one, so suppose one day we decide that we all will mix our tiffins and then we will eat, then this will be an approach of interdisciplinarity. But if people are deciding that we will eat our tip from our tiffin, but we also take something from others' tiffin, this is multidisciplinarity. So there is a difference. In multidisciplinarity, there is no merger of disciplines. Disciplines remain separate, but I roam around, learner roam around. But interdisciplinarity, disciplines merge, and so their methodology, approaches, they also, I can say, as a broader. Then the third is transdisciplinarity. What do you mean by transdisciplinarity? Builds bridges across discipline. So you are traveling, and this is kind of a bridge. You are traveling across different discipline, but also across the disciplinary structure. So in multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary, we care disciplines. But in transdisciplinarity, we care what we are going to learn rather than focusing much on our disciplines. Linking the academic world with the practical world. The beauty of transdisciplinarity is there is a linkage, a strong linkage between the academic and practical world, and scholars with non-academics who are working on similar problems or ideas. Here, solution of problem is important. Learning is important rather than giving significance to discipline. So we move away from disciplinary boundary and we focus upon to make this world a better place to live, for our improvement, for improvement of society. So our goal, our aim is important rather than we are focusing much on disciplinarity, on discipline. So friends, these are 4 basic approaches. The first is disciplinarity, where we roam around or we always stick to our disciplines. Then the second is multidisciplinary. We are with our discipline, but we also move a bit. Then the third is where disciplines are moving, and when disciplines are moving, then when their disciplines are moving, we are always learning something new. And then transdisciplinarity, we are moving away from disciplines and we are focusing more on solutions, get sustainable solution, viable solutions for our problem without thinking too much about discipline. So these are 4 terms, basic definitions I have shared with you. Ample literature is available. And my request to all of you is, please go through, read more. But I tried my best to give you a very simple explanation of each term. And believe me, as teachers, we practice all. But mostly what we practice is, we practice disciplinarity, and NEP expect us to move from, or also in a way, we can say, embrace multidisciplinarity. So any question coming to mind of anyone, if you are interested to ask any question, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, I will move and discuss something. Any question coming to your mind? Any confusion? Anything? Chitra ji, should we move?
Sir, one question is, suppose if I am making an translation of, or I'm making a glossary and that translates with an AI means, will that be transdisciplinary or interdisciplinary?
What are you doing? You are?
Suppose I have some concepts of my discipline and I am translating it to languages, other languages, using
But it's okay,
AI.
but you are simply translating it from one language to another language.
I'm using AI.
It's okay, it doesn't matter. It will always remain disciplinary. It's not transdisciplinary.
Okay, but I'm using the coding method using computers. So Will that be interdisciplinary or
Not
transdisciplinary?
interdisciplinary in a way, you can say multidisciplinary, because you are using knowledge from other discipline in your discipline. So more or less, this is a case of multidisciplinarity.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. But if you are merging this language with the machine language or the coding, then you can say I'm doing interdisciplinary. This is.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
So,
So one question actually, if anyone is taking like interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary or transdisciplinary, so is there any change in its degree certificate?
this is a very good question. Basically, this is not, because multidisciplinary is an approach. In case of transdisciplinary, certainly there is a difference. Like I said, example of biophysics or biochemistry or biogeography. So two disciplines are coming together. So we are giving a new name to the program. But in case of multidisciplinarity is basically an approach of teaching and learning, rather than reflecting on, we are reflecting it in our degrees and program. So multidisciplinary, an approach to teach and learn more. I will discuss this, but there will be no bearing on, I can say, on our degrees and programs. So our degrees and programs will remain as it is, because multidisciplinary is more an approach of teaching and learning, that I can say. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Okay. So now we are coming to the question multidisciplinarity in higher education. What do you mean by multidisciplinarity in higher education? So drawing on information and methods from two or more discipline. So again, explanation is here. What do you mean by multidisciplinarity? Drawing on information and methods from this. So I'm studying one discipline, but I am also taking something from another discipline and using it. When I'm doing it, I can say, look what I'm practicing multidisciplinarity. Distinct from interdisciplinary in that it generally does not imply integrating the fields together into something new. So in interdisciplinary, we are merging discipline and we are coming with a new discipline sometime, or something new, a degree, a program. This we are not doing in multidisciplinary. The multidisciplinary is more to better our teaching and learning. Interdisciplinary help us to come up with new programs and degrees. Yes, I can say. Then again, we can understand this from this example. Juxtaposition of various disciplines. So suppose I am learning music, I am learning mathematics, I am learning history. So I am applying some knowledge from mathematics while learning music. I am applying some knowledge from history while learning music. Or I am deciding to trace the history of music. So when I'm tracing the history of music, then I'm using my knowledge of music and my knowledge of history, because my knowledge of history gives me a knowledge about historical methods. So music and histories. So when I'm seeing a topic, any issue from this perspective, this is multidisciplinary. So a message for all of us is that as teachers, we have to move a bit from disciplines, and we have to promote a culture where our learners are learning not only the perspective of the disciplines they are studying, but they have to also learn from other discipline and apply that knowledge for their betterment of their learning. So this is what is the need for multidisciplinarity in education. I am sure you are wondering that why NEP and other policy documents are advocating for multidisciplinarity. You will also be wondering that why not only NEP but policy document all across the globe are advocating in favor of using multidisciplinary approach in teaching and learning. Answer is here. The answer is very simple, only in 3 lines, but the answer is perfect. The answer is world needs and opportunities are increasingly complex. So our needs and opportunities. So in one side we have needs, in another side we have opportunities. Our needs are becoming complex, and this is not that we are not having opportunities, but our opportunities are also becoming complex. And when needs are complex, opportunities are complex, so then a simple discipline is not going to work, help us much. What we require? We require integrated, in-depth contribution from multiple disciplines for progress. What we require in days to come, what we require, we are going to require more integrated, in-depth contribution from multiple discipline for progress. So when our challenges are complex, when our problems are complex, then for complex problem, we have to come up with solutions that are broad solution. So how to get these solutions? So we are combining different disciplines and coming together. Like you have seen, when we faced COVID, we applied knowledge from different disciplines to come up with a solution. This is not that only one discipline was able to help us to fight against COVID. Different disciplines contributed together to fight COVID in different ways. And with the combined effort of different disciplines, we were able to fight COVID and defeat it. So, need for multidisciplinarity in education, and friends, believe me, this need is increasing day by day. So it's high time that we start using multidisciplinary approach in higher education in our classrooms, and we have to also motivate our learners. We have to also prepare our learners to adopt this approach and learn accordingly. So what are the benefits of multidisciplinary education? So you can ask this question. This will be an obvious question, that as a teacher, I'm very fine. I'm happy to 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 teach in our disciplinary way. Why to practice multidisciplinarity? There are certain benefits. There are certain benefits that help us to argue that if we are using multidisciplinary education, these will be the benefits we are getting. What are these benefits? Let's have a look. The first obvious benefit is motivation level. Studies point out that when we use multidisciplinary education, motivation level for learning increases. So learners are more motivated, and the reason for motivation is obvious. They are not seeing things from only one perspective. They are seeing things from different perspective, and this help us to increase their motivation level. And once we are more motivated, then we are more fit and ready to learn. The second is connecting learning to a real world context. The advantage of multidisciplinary learning is that it connects learning to a real world context. जो सचमुच की दुनिया है, वास्तविक दुनिया है, उससे जोड़ता है. Connecting learning to a real world context, because we are learning things from a different perspective. The third advantage is learning experiences. It has been observed that when we practice multidisciplinary education, our learning experience, the learning experiences of learners are more meaningful, more purposeful, and more deeper. And if learning experiences are meaningful, purposeful, and deeper, then you can be rest assured that our education system is on the right track. So then breadth of knowledge. So suppose you are learning your discipline, but you are learning something more, so your knowledge increases. And now we are living in a society named as knowledge society. The people who have more knowledge have better chances to succeed and contribute. So you have breadth of knowledge. काफी सारी जानकारी आपको मिल जाती है. Acquiring new knowledge in different subjects area. So when we practice multidisciplinary education, we acquire new knowledge in different subjects area. So because we are not sticking to our subject only, we are going and learning from different subjects, and this knowledge is very much part of our life, our personality. So acquiring new knowledge in different subjects areas. And a very important point to consider promoting multidisciplinary education. The point is that knowledge and application of different subjects can lead to greater creativity. When you are learning by using different subjects, then there are chances for more creativity. आप अलग अलग चीजों से जब सीखते हैं तो आपकी क्रिएटिविटी बढ़ने के चांसेस होते हैं। और ये जीवन का अनुभव भी सिखाता है। व्हेन यू लर्न फ्रॉम बॉक्स ऑफ लाइफ यू आर ए बेटर person rather than when you are learning from a limited perspective. So knowledge and application of different subjects can lead to greater creativity, and it also help us to make connection between the traditional academic subject areas. Nowadays, we are still very divided. Disciplines are divided. Disciplines are isolated. वो अलग अलग चैम्बर है. But when we practice multidisciplinary education, disciplines open their doors, disciplines open their windows, and people roam around, people walk to each other. खिड़की दरवाजे खुलते हैं और हम थोड़ा एक दूसरे के यहाँ आते जाते हैं. So we know what is happening in other disciplines, and other disciplines know what is happening in your discipline. So friends, these are some benefits listed by. There are many more benefits, but more or less, if we practice multidisciplinary education, certainly there are many benefits that we can experience. So I'm sure you people are going to experience it. Your people are going to practice it in your classrooms. Now, this was a theoretical orientation. What is multidisciplinary education? What are the benefits of multidisciplinary education? Why to practice multidisciplinary education? But now a very important question is, suppose as a teacher, I'm convinced that yes, multidisciplinary education seems a good fit. I am interested to practice it into my classroom. How I'm going to do it? कैसे करेंगे हम अपने क्लासरूम में कैसे कर सकते हैं? And usually teachers are quite worried. When they hear the term multidisciplinarity, they are worried a lot. And why they are worried? They always say, अभी तो बहुत मुश्किल है, मैं अपने विषय के साथ दूसरा विषय भी पढ़ूं. This is very difficult. This will not be possible for me. Oh, ये मेरे लिए तो नहीं है. No. This is a wrong perception. When we are advocating that as a teacher, you have to practice multidisciplinarity in your classroom, it is not that education system is expecting you to go and study other subject. अगर आप पढ़ेंगे तो बहुत अच्छा, लेकिन नहीं भी पढ़ते हैं, still you can practice multidisciplinarity in your classroom. Let's see how we can do it. एक बार मैं बात कर लेता हूँ, फिर आपके मन में सवाल हो तो जरूर पूछेगा. It will be my pleasure to answer. But देखिए हम अपने क्लासरूम में, how in our classroom we can bring multidisciplinarity. एक एक करके देखें. What are the examples? First, very simple way to do it, asking student to use lenses to evaluate case studies, role plays, interviews, general structure. As teachers, we use case studies, role play, interviews, generals in our day-to-day teaching. So asking student to use different lenses to evaluate case studies. So suppose we are from a discipline and we are discussing few case studies, then we can ask our student to use different lenses. What do you mean by different lenses? Suppose you are having a student from business management discipline, और वहां पे आप दो केस स्टडी डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, तो आप उनसे कह सकते हैं कि कुछ लोग तो बिजनेस मैनेजमेंट के एंगल से इस केस स्टडी को डिस्कस करें, और कुछ लोग एक कंज्यूमर की एंगल से इस केस स्टडी को डिस्कस करें, कुछ लोग एक सोशल वर्कर की एंगल से केस स्टडी को डिस्कस करें, कुछ लोग एक आम आदमी की तरह इस केस स्टडी को डिस्कस करें. सो व्हेन आई एम हैविंग ए डिफरेंट लेंस, सो माय पर्सपेक्टिव विल चेंज. केस स्टडी एक ही है, यू आर यूजिंग वन केस स्टडी बट पर्सपेक्टिव आर डिफरेंट. When your students are doing this, you can say this is an example of multidisciplinarity. Let's move to another example. Coordinating seminars or group activities across disciplines who may work with similar population but in different contexts. So when you are doing a seminar, when you are doing group activities, usually you invite people from your discipline only. But what you can do, you can suggest, look, in this seminar, in addition to students from our discipline, we are going to invite students from other disciplines also. So not only students from your discipline, students from other disciplines are also part of it. May work with, but in different contexts. For example, there is a list. People from public health, student from criminal justice, and student from social work and nursing. They are coming together and discussing a problem. Problem is same, but the population who is discussing this is not same. They are students from different discipline, and of course, they will bring different perspective. And when these perspective will merge, then of course, new ideas and solutions will emerge. So public health, criminal justice, social work, and nursing are student from engineering, student from finance, student from architecture, and student from urban planning sitting with each other and learning. अलग अलग डिसिप्लिन के लोग एक साथ बैठ के लर्न करेंगे, डिस्कस करेंगे, कुछ अच्छा सॉल्यूशन निकलने वाला है. This is when you are facilitating your learners to do this. This is an example of multidisciplinarity in classroom. So this can be. Then third, pairing student based on disciplines to work on collaborative project. This is a very good example, very good way to practice multidisciplinarity in your classroom. And we can easily do it. We only require an assurance or a go-ahead from our leadership. Pairing student based on disciplines to work on collaborative projects. अभी हम लोग जब किसी को कोई प्रोजेक्ट देते हैं तो अपने डिसिप्लिन के स्टूडेंट को देते हैं प्रोजेक्ट, बट वी आर गिविंग rather than assigning this project to students from our discipline, we are making a team where students from other disciplines are also part of it. Pairing students based on disciplines to work on collaborative projects. So suppose there is a department of history and there is a department of chemistry. So students from history and chemistry coming together and working on a collaborative project. And they are working on a collaborative project and asking them to reflect on how their differing perspective enhance the work. When people from different discipline will work together, they will exchange their perspective, they will convince each other, they will learn from each other, and at the end, they will come up with better prepared. तो आप उनसे पूछिए कि अच्छा आपने एक दूसरे से क्या सीखा, क्या जाना. इससे आप देखें देयर विल बी ए ब्रॉड बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग, बेटर लर्निंग. आप एक्सपेरिमेंट करके देख सकते हैं इफ यू आर रियली इंटरेस्टेड टू डू दिस. एंड दिस इज आल्सो वेरी गुड एग्जांपल, inviting guest speakers across discipline. We organize different programs in our department, in our institution, but usually we invite experts from our discipline. So suppose if I belong to education, I will always look for an expert who is coming from education background. Yes, you can do it, no issue in it, no harm in it. But in addition to that, you can also think upon you inviting guest speaker who is not from education discipline, but from other discipline. Maybe a people from sociology is coming and giving a lecture to discuss their roles in addressing a problem or concern in a community. Usually we are so proud with our discipline that we say, look, our discipline is the best discipline, and this discipline is taking care of all problems and concern in community. This is not that. Every discipline is playing a role. जैसे दुनिया में हर कोई अपनी भूमिका निभा रहा है, वैसे ही हर डिसिप्लिन की अपनी भूमिका है. When we will invite speakers from other discipline, we will learn from every discipline and there will be a better understanding. तो ये छोटे छोटे तरीके हैं जिनके माध्यम से आप अपने क्लासरूम में मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरिटी को ला सकते हैं. And this is simple, but sometimes teachers are afraid. The moment they hear the term multidisciplinarity, the first reaction is, अरे अभी तो मुझे बहुत सारे विषय को पढ़ना पड़ेगा और पढ़ाना पड़ेगा. नो, बहुत सारे विषय को पढ़ना पढ़ाना बात की बात है. You have to basically multidisciplinary mean you have to open space, you have to open windows, you have to open doors so that people from different disciplines may walk in and share your experiences with your learners. So आपको ऐसा करना है, दरवाजे खिड़की खोलने, उनको बंद करके नहीं रखना. The moment you open your doors and window, you can say, look, I have started practicing multidisciplinarity in classroom. So the next is, can we use multidisciplinarity outside classroom? चलो क्लासरूम में तो कर लिया, क्या क्लासरूम के बाहर कर सकते हैं? Answer is again yes. Yes, we can do it. How we can do it? Another example is, देखिए classroom से sometimes students are with us, but they are also moving out. So how? Creating an assignment where students interview a professional in their own field in addition to 2 others. तो आपने assignment दिया जहां पर स्टूडेंट को आप ये कह रहे हैं कि आपको अपनी डिसिप्लिन के, अपनी फील्ड के 2 लोगों का इंटरव्यू करना है, लेकिन 2 लोगों को उनका इंटरव्यू करना है जो आपके डिसिप्लिन से नहीं है. So earlier your methodology was that your students are going to interview 4 people, but the 4 people are from the same background, from the same discipline. But now you have a different scheme. You are saying rather than interviewing 4 people from the same discipline, you are interviewing 2 people from one discipline and 2 from other discipline. And when they are coming back, you are asking them to compare and contrast their answer based on the discipline and theoretical perspective that drive their work. और फिर आप देखें कि दोनों के विचारों में क्या अंतर है, क्यों अंतर है, कैसा अंतर है, what is the difference, why this difference, how much this difference. Then they will get a new perspective. एक उनको नई समझ विकसित होगी और वो नई समझ उनको जिंदगी में आगे लेके जाएगी. The issue with us people is that we think in a very rigid way, very straightforward way. तो हम दूसरों की बात को consider करते नहीं. But when they will practice this, they will be fit to learn from different disciplines, that I can say. So this can be one way. There are many ways to do it, but there are a few examples that you can do. This can be another way to practice multidisciplinarity outside classroom. Assigning roles to students when watching videos or reading articles. Nowadays, our students watch videos a lot. They also read. I'm not saying that they are reading much, but they are reading articles. So you can give one instruction. You can simply say, watch videos, read article is fine. But you can say, assess the information from different perspective. Don't watch this video or read this article from the perspective of your discipline. Watch this video or read this article from the perspective of different discipline. The moment our perspective changes, we see different things. हमारा नजरिया बदल जाता है तो हमको चीजें अलग दिखाई देने लगती है. To assess the information from different perspective. So simply your role as a teacher is to give a command, to give instruction. सिर्फ आपको ये करना है और कुछ नहीं. And having an engineering student meet with a disability studies major. मान लीजिए आपका एक इंजीनियरिंग का स्टूडेंट है और वो एक बिल्डिंग का नक्शा तैयार कर रहा है. So mapping a map of a building. But you can suggest that student, look, meet with a student who is doing or taking a course, taking a course or doing a program in disability studies. So when an engineering student meeting with a disability studies, the engineering student will realize that, look, these type of disability, differently able people are facing. And then when that engineering student will prepare a plan, will prepare a map, that will be a better map and that will be a better building from the accessibility point of view. तो जब हम अलग अलग डिसिप्लिन के लोगों से मिलते हैं, उनसे सीखते हैं और उसको अपने डिसिप्लिन में अप्लाई करते हैं, तो ज्यादा बेहतर होते हैं. इसको प्रूव करने की ज्यादा कोई जरूरत है नहीं. आप जितना ही लोगों से सीखेंगे, हम कहते हैं ना, जब हमको अपने को बेहतर करना है, सो वी हैव टू लर्न फ्रॉम अदर्स. We have to learn from others, so we are learning from others and we are improving ourselves. The same philosophy applies here. So bringing multidisciplinarity outside classroom. So these are few suggestions that you can work upon. इनको आप इस्तेमाल कर सकते हो. There can be many ways. You can come up with your methodologies, your practices, your way out doing this. But you have to always think how. Whenever I am assigning any work, any activity to my student, rather than focusing on disciplinary perspective, how I can bring multidisciplinarity into it. हाँ, मैं इसको कैसे कर सकता हूँ, ये मुझे देखने की जरूरत है. Let's move. Bringing multidisciplinarity in internships and practicums. How I can bring multidisciplinarity in internships and practicum. So as teachers, we do activities in our classrooms. Then we also give some assignment where our students are outside of the classroom, but they are also doing their internships and practicums. Because internships and practicums are also an integral part of our education system. So is there any possibility to bring multidisciplinarity in internship? क्या internship में भी multidisciplinary हो सकती है? क्या practicum में भी multidisciplinarity हम ला सकते हैं? Yes, the answer is yes, we can do it. Let's have a look how we can incorporate, how we can bring multidisciplinarity in internships and practicums. Very good example. I will explain this to you and you can think about. This is just an example. So your subjects are different, but you can follow this example and you can think how I'm going to use this example in my subject, in my discipline, in my institution. So the example is shadowing or interviewing colleagues and partners outside of one's discipline. Usually when our students go for internships, they go for practicums, they collect data, they talk to people, they interview them, and then they come back with the data, analyze it, and submit a report. This is usually a very popular protocol of internships and practicums. So as a teacher, you can give them instruction. So look, this time when you are going to, you are not only interviewing people from your discipline, but you are also interviewing people from others' discipline. For example, suppose an MBA student who is specializing in marketing, going and always meeting to marketing people. You can say, look, it's fine. You are doing your specialization in marketing. You are an MBA student, so you go meet marketing people. But in addition to this, please also meet with some engineers and IT specialists. Now you can say, you can ask this to me, why, what is the advantage of an MBA who is doing a specialization in marketing meeting with engineers and IT specialists. Maybe if that marketing student is meeting only with marketing professionals, that student is learning the tips of the nitty-gritties of marketing. But if that student is meeting with IT specialists, so maybe that student will learn how we can use IT for marketing. A new avenue will emerge. तो तब उसको पता चलेगा, अरे अरे आईटी का तो मैं ऐसे यूज करके मार्केटिंग कर सकता हूँ. मे बी आई कैन डू मार्केटिंग रिमेनिंग टू आवर होम. मैं अपने घर में रहते हुए मार्केटिंग कर सकता हूँ. हाँ, मीटिंग टू एन इंजीनियरिंग. सो हाउ आई कैन शेप माई शॉप, हाउ आई कैन शेप माई बिजनेस हाउस फॉर बेटर मार्केटिंग. तो इंजीनियरिंग वाला उसको कुछ नई सलाह देगा. सो this is not that you are ignoring your discipline. This is sometimes there is a confusion. Sometimes when people think about, listen about multidisciplinary, they are thinking, look, multidisciplinary means we have to ignore our disciplines. No, this is not. This is totally wrong. We are, rather than we are strengthening our disciplines, what we are doing, we are taking knowledge from other discipline and we are making ourselves better. तो यहाँ पर ऐसा नहीं कि वो मार्केटिंग वालों का इंटरव्यू नहीं करेगा, उसको करने दीजिए. मार्केटिंग के साथ साथ उसको कहिए कि कुछ उन लोगों का इंटरव्यू कर दें जो इंजीनियरिंग के हैं, जो आईटी के हैं, कुछ और है, उसको भी कह सकते हैं. और सिमिलरली एक पॉलिटिकल साइंस मेजर्स मीटिंग विद, एक पॉलिटिकल साइंस का स्टूडेंट है और वो पॉलिटिकल साइंस के लोगों से बात करने के साथ साथ दैट स्टूडेंट इज टॉकिंग टू डिस्कसिंग विद सोशल जस्टिस एडवोकेट, एंटरप्रेन्योर्स एंड फैमिली साइंटिस्ट. तो कुछ सामाजिक कार्यकर्ताओं, सामाजिक न्याय वाले कार्यकर्ताओं से मिलता है, उद्योग धंधों वालों से मिलता है, फैमिली साइंटिस्ट से मिलता है. सो होराइजन्स विल, जो समझ है वो बढ़ेगी, द पर्सपेक्टिव विल इंक्रीज. When you are helping your student in this way, you can proudly say that, look, I am preparing my student for multidisciplinarity. I am practicing multidisciplinarity and I am preparing my student for multidisciplinary education. तो थोड़ा आपको सलाह देनी है, समझ बनानी है, बाकी काम तो स्टूडेंट को ही करना है, आपको नहीं करना. फ्रेंड्स, this is also a very good approach. You can use it in your regular teaching learning. You can also use this approach for practicing multidisciplinary. The name of this approach is grand rounds approach. In medicine, they follow this approach, but in our discipline, we don't follow, but we can follow this approach. Let's understand what this approach is. Grand rounds approach, similar to medicine, where several students from different disciplines reflect together and brainstorm potential resources or intervention. मेडिसिन में ये करते हैं कि कोई समस्या आती है, टिपिकल प्रॉब्लम आती है, पीपल फ्रॉम डिफरेंट बैकग्राउंड्स कम टुगेदर, दे सिट, they discuss and they suggest or they give their perspective related to that problem. तो वो आपको करना है. So when in your classroom, when you are having a problem, any issue, any topic, you can invite a student from one discipline, but you can also invite a student from different disciplines. They are working together and giving a solution. More or less like a chopal. Earlier we were having chopals. In chopal, people from different walks of life, different age group, different experiences were getting together, were sitting together and were talking to each other, sharing their experiences. और उन चौपाल में जीवन की बड़ी बड़ी समस्याएं लोग हल कर लेते थे. So somebody is putting a problem, others are coming with a solution. These are things. So basically, what is multidisciplinary? Multidisciplinary is nothing else. People from different disciplines are sitting together, discussing with each other and learning from each other. When we are doing it, friends, without any hesitation, we can say, we can claim, look, we are practicing multidisciplinary. So this is a way out. you can go through. So at the end, what I would like to say is, sometimes we see multidisciplinarity from a very different perspective. Sometimes we proudly announce that, look, our institution is practicing multidisciplinarity, because in our institutions, we allow learners to pick courses from different disciplines. Picking courses from different discipline is not multidisciplinary. Let's make it clear. This is a confusion. This is a wrong notion. If in your institution, students are allowed to pick courses from different disciplines, this is just the beginning. Ultimate multidisciplinarity is when a learner is picking four courses, and when a learner start combining knowledge of four courses for better understanding and learning, only then you can say, in my institution, we are practicing multidisciplinarity. Usually the notion of multidisciplinarity is very mechanical. We see it from a very mechanical term, where we say, हमारे यहाँ तो कुछ भी मेजर ले सकते हैं, कुछ भी माइनर ले सकते हैं, हमारे यहाँ तो multidisciplinarity. Taking majors and minor is not multidisciplinarity. This is just a facilitation. Multidisciplinarity is when I am using that knowledge for betterment of my learning, for my betterment, for social betterment, then this is multidisciplinarity. So the role of teachers is very important. As a teacher, you are going to play a wonderful role, because you are who will lead this multidisciplinarity. You are ones who are going to bring this multidisciplinarity in your classroom. तो मैं जरूर आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा, अपने क्लासरूम में जब भी पढ़ाइए, see how you can bring multidisciplinarity in your classroom, how you can motivate your student to practice multidisciplinarity. And the moment you will start doing this, your student will also start doing this. So there can be very many ways to practice it. But the biggest thing is that first we have to understand what do you mean by multidisciplinarity, and what do you mean by multidisciplinary education? What do you mean by multidisciplinary approach in education? Once we are clear, then it is quite easy for us to practice it in a real classroom situation. These are some of the references that I have used in this. And friends, before coming to a stop and then taking your questions, quickly, I have written two books, recent books, basically for betterment of learning and teaching. And basically, I have written these books for teachers. So I am in a forum where I'm talking to teachers. So these are two books. The one is Learning and Teaching for Teachers. I know you are wonderful teachers, but by going through this book, you can learn something more about learning. And when you are learning something more about learning, then you are destined to become a better teacher. So this is a book came in 2021, and this is the next one, the Teaching Competencies for 21st Century Teachers. So here I have discussed several, and multidisciplinarity is a part of this book also. So these are two books, and by going through this book, you can sharpen your skill and you can improve your practices. You are a wonderful teacher. So friends, this is my email for your reference and regard. If in the future you are interested to ask anything, you are interested to share anything, feel free to. This is my email. Please take a note of when you will write. Certainly, I will respond. I am not saying that I will respond immediately, but I will certainly respond. And so this is from my side. We have 5 to 10 minutes. So I am stopping, and you all are invited for your comments, your questions, your argument. Feel free to share. I will try my best to answer. But from my side, again, we all are practicing disciplinarity. That's fine. Keep practicing it. But now it's time to move a little bit. And the next step is multidisciplinarity. And as teachers, you have to take a lead. And I hope this lecture will help you to take this lead. Thank you so much. Feel free for your questions and comments. कुछ भी मन में सवाल आ रहा है तो जरूर पूछिए. Any question come to your mind? Anything? Any clarification you need? I will try my best. पूछिए, डोंट बी शाई, पूछिए ना. हिंदी अंग्रेजी दोनों में जिस पे पूछेंगे वो मैं बताने की कोशिश करूँ. जी वरदराजन जी, प्लीज पूछिए. आप कह रहे एक क्वेश्चन है, पूछिए ना. वैशाली कह रही है क्वेश्चन. यस प्लीज प्लीज आस्क. No, Miami University is not best model, but they have given this example. वहां उन्होंने एक एग्जाम्पल दिया. I've taken this example. तो उनकी साइट पे मुझे एक एग्जाम्पल मिला, हाउ वी कैन प्रैक्टिस इट. वो दिया. हर यूनिवर्सिटी बेस्ट यूनिवर्सिटी है, किसी भी यूनिवर्सिटी में हम इसको प्रैक्टिस कर सकते हैं. यस पूछिए ना कोई. अगर आप अपने को अनम्यूट कर. अच्छा, आप नहीं म्यूट कर सकते अपने को. नहीं, आई कैन सी पीपल वर एबल टू अनम्यूट देमसेल्व्स. आप कर सकते हैं ना अपने को अनम्यूट. ओके, इफ नॉट यू कैन राइट इन द चैट बॉक्स. अगर कोई सवाल है आप चैट बॉक्स में लिखिए. आई विल ट्राई टू आंसर. हाँ हाँ, आप अपना सवाल इसमें लिखिए तो मैं कोशिश करूंगा आपको जवाब देने की. इज एनीवन इंटरेस्टेड टू आस्क ए क्वेश्चन? आप अगर अनम्यूट करके पूछ सकते हैं तो पूछिए. अगर आपको क्वेश्चन है और लिख सकते हैं तो लिखिए. मैंने चैट बॉक्स ओपन कर लिया. अगर कोई सवाल आएगा तो मैं जवाब देने की कोशिश करूंगा. ओके, कैन यू गिव अस वन मोर एग्जांपल of science faculty for multidisciplinary education? Okay, very good. So suppose you are a teacher of physics and you are working with Department of History and you are tracing the history of physics. Well, a very simple example, there can be many more. So you are using the methodologies कि हिस्ट्री वाले कौन सा मेथड यूज करते हैं. उन्हें हिस्ट्री पता करनी होती है तो कौन सा मेथड लगाते हैं. आप फिजिक्स के टीचर है तो आपको तो फिजिक्स पता है, लेकिन आपको ये नहीं पता है कि किसी चीज की हिस्ट्री पता करना हो तो क्या लगाएंगे. तो यू आर गोइंग टू ए टीचर ऑफ हिस्ट्री और यू गोइंग टू स्टूडेंट ऑफ हिस्ट्री कि भाई आपके यहाँ हिस्ट्री पता करते हैं तो उसके लिए क्या मेथोडोलॉजी यूज करते हैं. सो यू आर यूजिंग द मेथोडोलॉजी यूज बाय स्टूडेंट फ्रॉम हिस्ट्री टू ट्रेस द हिस्ट्री ऑफ फिजिक्स. तो ये आपने किया तो एग्जाम्पल हो गया मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी एजुकेशन. आपको अपना विषय ही आप कर रहे हैं, लेकिन आपने दूसरे विषय की जानकारी के आधार पे अपने विषय को आगे बढ़ा दिया. सो व्हेन यू आर डूइंग दिस, दिस कैन बी एन एग्जाम्पल ऑफ आई एम यूजिंग मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी अप्रोच इन साइंस. एक विषय के ज्ञान से अपने विषय को आगे बढ़ाने में मदद ले ली, वो मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी अप्रोच. Then I can see as there any research program from transdisciplinary. नहीं, कोई research program नहीं है, but usually I can see there are many startups. हमारे यहाँ आजकल बहुत सारे startups आ रहे हैं और वो startup I see transdisciplinary rather than focusing on disciplines. वो इस पे देखते हैं कि इस प्रॉब्लम का solution क्या है. So our PhD programs are mainly disciplinary programs, but all those startups that are coming and focusing on social problem, another problem, उस पे जो काम कर रहे हैं, I keep them in the category of transdisciplinary. वो जो startups हैं, ज्यादातर startups इस कैटेगरी में आ रहे हैं. उनको क्या डिग्री मिलेगी, कौन सा डिसिप्लिन है, कौन सा नहीं है, उनका सिर्फ एक ही सवाल है कि इस प्रॉब्लम का सल्यूशन मिलना चाहिए. आई हैव टू फाइंड ए सल्यूशन ऑफ दिस प्रॉब्लम. तो मेरे हिसाब से वो जो स्टार्टअप्स हैं बहुत अच्छे एग्जांपल हैं ट्रांसडिसिप्लिनरी के. completed my doctorate and now want to do doctorate in one. Hi, this is possible. You can do many doctorate, but doing doctorate is not transdisciplinary. This will always be disciplinary. Maybe you can say little bit multidisciplinary but not transdisciplinary. Transdisciplinary में तो हमें डिग्री से थोड़ा आगे चले जाना है. Solution क्या है? What I am giving, what I am achieving, this is more important. Ultimate stage, a very difficult stage to achieve, but ultimate stage. Anyone else? Any other question coming to your mind? Please write in chat box. कोई भी मन में सवाल हो तो जरूर लिखिए. Anyone else? Anyone? So, very good question, Chitraji. Very good question. Will student be able to get employment? If you see employment as a government employment, then I'm not sure. But if you are seeing employment from a broader perspective, then I can say with certainty that multidisciplinarity and interdisciplinarity is going to help that student to get employment. But if you are seeing it from only the perspective of government employment, then maybe disciplinary approach is better. But for any kind of where you see employment from a broader spectrum, then of course, if I'm practicing multidisciplinarity, then I am a better fit for employment. This is my take. Yes. Yes, Dr. Popteji is saying yes, yes. I'm sure. Because if you are good, if your learning is broad, if you are learning from different disciplines, then you are better fit to seek employment opportunities and get employment opportunities. Yes, internship is good opportunity, but again, entrepreneurship is not only from the perspective of one discipline. Entrepreneurship seeing from different disciplines. So when we are taking consideration of different discipline and working in that line, so we have more opportunities for employment and entrepreneurship. Anyone else? Anyone else? So, friends, at the end, I can only say, please keep in touch. Please try, please think, please sit with colleagues in your institution. Please have a discussion that how we can start practicing multidisciplinarity more. I'm not saying that you are not practicing multidisciplinarity, but you can have a discussion that how we can start practicing multidisciplinarity more. You can come up with your methodologies, your strategies, and your practices. And when you are practicing multidisciplinarity, when you are helping your student to embrace multidisciplinarity, then this is a win-win situation for all. As teachers, we are doing our role and we are helping our learners to learn more for betterment of all, that we can say. So best wishes to all of you. Keep in touch. And in case any questions, any concerns, my email is with you. So you can always write to me. I will try my best to answer. And MPhil literature is available, but sometimes it is difficult to understand. But once we are somewhat clear, then this literature is much helpful. So literature is available, and now you can go through and read it and practice it. So best wishes to all of you. I enjoyed, and I hope you also enjoyed. I cannot hear you because there is a protocol that you cannot unmute yourself, but best wishes to all of you. Keep giving your best and try to embrace multidisciplinarity as well. Namaskar. Sabko namaskar. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you. Bye. So I'm taking a leave. I hope we will meet again. We will meet soon. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.